we're live now. Okay, GovOps back on Wednesday, March 13th for looking at draft 4.1 of S-159. It is on our website, and it has highlighted the changes that we just discussed. I don't think we need Tim to go through them because we just went through them unless you have questions or concerns about any of them. But if you can all just scroll through to the extent possible.
Shall be invited to participate. Nice. Okay. Looks, for my read, it looks like all the changes that we requested and nothing more.
Yeah, the one thing, and I feel really bad that I didn't notice this before, or am I missing it? Is the appropriation still in here, Tim?
No, that,
Oh,
oh wait, sorry,
Oh,
there's
yes, there is.
appropriation for consulting. sorry.
perfect, okay, phew. It was not where I thought it was, so.
Yeah, it's page 4, line 12. appropriation
Paragraph
for
H,
consulting. It's
okay.
$50,000.
Perfect, okay. That is gonna be necessary.
That's
Yeah.
to the study. For the study committee's work.
Okay, we good? All right, are we ready? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we find draft 4.1 of the bill we're looking at, S 159, favor.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All right, clerk, you want to call the roll?
Senator Bohowski,
Yes.
Senator White,
Yes.
Senator Norris, yes. Senator Watson.
Yes.
Senator Clark,
Yes.
Chair Hardy.
Yes. Okay, I think I'm gonna report it.
A surprise no vote by the chair last minute.
Yeah, okay, thank you, so I guess we'll need to clean it up. Oh, here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna print it out and write it. Okay, thank you, all right, we're gonna look at S-310. There were a couple. There's some changes since yesterday, we're gonna see how far we get with it today and what our committee capacity is, okay?
I have to go see.
You have to go see your client, okay. Does Tim know the two that are the two?
It was the section about the fines and the fees,
Oh, right, whether the.
whether they should be updated, especially the
Okay.
fines that haven't been updated in 1991.
Easy comments, okay.
Okay,
This is for
So-
the hazardous waste provisions.
I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, but
okay, all right, we won't vote the bill out.
Okay.
You're not- So, okay, so we are gonna just, to the extent we can, look at the draft again. And we'll vote it out tomorrow, so we'll try to be done by 5. Okay, all right, Tim, so we have draft 5.2.
That sounds right. So I'm pulling it up now. Our database,
There's also the summary.
yes, and that was adjusted this afternoon with quarterly finance.
Okay, cool, thank you.
And the summary, I should note that as before, modified language appears in the summary. Summary of the modified language is green. And then in the bill itself, there's highlights.
Okay,
Yeah. Yes, 5.2 should be today's date, 9:15 a.m. And Chair Hardy, would you like me to just kind of skip to each of the
Yeah,
modifications?
just really high overview of changes.
And I should say that some of these will appear familiar due to kind of like a saving glitch. They didn't, some of the changes that the committee had agreed to or wanted in prior version didn't show up in the last one, so they're here now.
Okay,
I'll point those out because. But first change, let's see. Story should appear on page 13. This is under emergency management, section 7. Which modifies 20 VSA section 6, renaming that statutory section local and regional organization for emergency management. And these are some of those edits that were requested by the committee, but were not saved in the last version, so they appear here now. That each town and city of this state shall establish a local organization for emergency management in accordance with state emergency management plan program, et cetera, et cetera. There's no shall there. And this will look familiar. Senator Bohosky raised this point yesterday in the committee's discussion about this was that section where there's a question about replacing or who is the executive or legislative branch, who's the highest person. And so the language that was settled upon was top 14, in an instance of a vacancy of position of the town or city emergency management director, the executive officer or the chair or president of the legislative branch shall be the emergency management director. So clarifying that the legislative branch part of it would be essentially the leader of the legislative branch, that chair or president. And I've replicated that language to other places as well.
okay,
The next change, let's see, appears on page 16. This is actually the same statutory section. So still talking about these regional emergency management committees. And looking at the voting members and non-voting members, here again is one of those things that wasn't saved in the last version, but now appears here. So non-voting members on those local committees will include now local libraries, arts and culture organizations, regional development corporations, local business organizations, and then the existing statutory language and any other interested public and private organization. The next change appears on page 17. It's under section 9. Under local emergency planning committees, creation duties. This is that kind of almost misnomer. There it's actually a state entity, but is required, that's the terminology required by the federal statute, the APCRA. That statutory reference was agreed on to be inserted in prior version, but wasn't by accident, so it's here now.
okay. These are the ones that are the local planning that do just pass and out stuff. So we wanted to clarify that they're not actually the same thing, the local.
Right.
Yeah,
The next modifications appear in section 10. This is bottom of 19 breaking into 20. Section 10 adds that section 20 VSA, section 41, state emergency management plan. And there's, you'll notice that the two kind of stranded specific requirements have been removed. One has been rolled into the general language above. And so it's not in kind of a half list of enumerated requirements, is now just the general description of, well, the requirement of the report, the plan is now codified. It's to be published as needed, but not less than every 5 years, republished evidence, and also designates the Department of Safety's Vermont Emergency Management Division as essentially they'll create and maintain it. Then that language to the top of 20 is what the committee was reviewing yesterday, that what it's supposed to kind of detail broadly, and then the new language on the 7th That plan shall include templates and guides for local emergency plans that support municipalities in the respective emergency management planning. That's a rephrase of one of those particular items that was removed here, that just kind of
Yeah.
rolled
The
up.
other thing that was here that was removed was the mass sheltering, which is addressed in a different section.
With the sectional mass care.
Yeah, so
Red Cross.
they seemed out of place there. Then the other thing which you can't see that was removed because it's been removed, so there's no highlights for it, was a report on rebuilding after, right?
Yeah, let me pull up a older version.
Yeah, so it was about BEM talking about rebuilding after a flood, and basically Eric was like, we can't really do this and we would need a lot of money and more time. So I wasn't sure that they were the right entity to do it anyway. So I just pulled it out because I think that it might be better somewhere else. And yeah, go ahead.
Related to something that we're talking about in my other committee in the morning,
Yeah.
just today, we were talking about, the lack of, that Vermont in general does not have a building code.
Yeah,
And that's a huge gap and something that we're like working to address. There's a working group. Anyway, I think that would be the kind of thing that if we had an authority with jurisdiction, like
yeah.
somebody whose job it was to deal with buildings, like that's who it should be. But that group doesn't really exist.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned that, because last night when I was trying to figure out like, who would we have do this?
Yeah,
I noted that bill because
yeah,
Senator Bray had mentioned to me something about the bill yesterday, so I looked at the bill last night and I was like, is this bill someplace we could put this language? But it doesn't even seem like that thing exists yet, so
Right.
that you could give it something to do yet, because it doesn't exist. So, the language, if you're interested, maybe Tim could send you just that language that was removed and you can look at it for that bill, but it was really about guidelines for
Right.
rebuilding after a flood.
well, and what's terrible is, is
No.
that, it's really needed like right now. And
Right.
you know, so it's something that through that bill, maybe we could assign to like Department of Fire Safety. Which is a group that they're contemplating, you know, tasking this in the long run, but anyway, that's.
Yeah, so I mean, if you wanna try to address it in that bill, it
Okay.
just seemed out of place here, and
Yeah.
Eric was like, I don't think we can do this. And so I took it out, because
Yeah.
we are giving them a lot to do in this bill, so.
Mhm.
And, I think I understand what you're referring to. That's the best practices language.
Yeah.
That was removed from the next subsequent.
Yeah, best practices for rebuilding after a flood. Yeah, go ahead, Senator.
Sorry, we haven't gotten there yet, and I apologize, I'm looked this yet, but, did we, maybe we'll talk about this in a minute, but like the stuff that we talked about yesterday about, for example, best practices for volunteers. Like.
Oh, in that report,
Yeah,
nothing has been added
Okay, from that.
specifically. There were a couple things that were already in here, that we sort of enhanced.
gotcha.
But I also asked Eric to look through that
Okay.
list. It may be that we might task the House with doing that.
Oh, yeah, and that's fine.
Because it came kind of
So late.
yeah.
Mhm.
Some of it I think is in here, but there's probably more that we can
That's
add.
fine.
Yeah. All right, Tim,
Okay.
go ahead.
Let's see, next section 11, indeed, recall there's 3 subsections, now there's 2. This has to do with the Vermont Emergency Management Division Disaster Preparedness Review. The review and the report still exist, but there's a middle section there regarding best practice, which we're just discussing, that has been removed. Going now to section 12, and we're halfway through page 21. We now, and well, it should be a little bit more highlighted, establishing 5.5 new regional emergency management program coordinators. There's some strange things with spacing there. But there's 5 new permanent full-time positions and 1 new permanent part-time position. The sum has been adjusted to $550,000. And again, for the purpose of funding, 5.5 new coordinator positions.
Okay,
That's, 6 new, 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 Moving on, the next change appears on page 24. And this is Senator Watson's additions, the stormwater management system definition, adding both the terms treating and settling ponds for there. The, let's see. So there's a wide gap in the next. Sorry, top of page 46, I believe. And we're now getting to the emergency communications provisions, specifically section 19, which modifies Title 30 VSA section 7055, should now be titled originating carrier coordination. Subsection. Let's see, this is D, which breaks across page 45 into 46. The singular word available before automatic number identification, ANI, has been added for the testimony yesterday, and then of more substance, the to be added subsection F, and we're at the top of or bottom of 46 going into 47 as a new subsection of it, added based on some of the 911 board's rules regarding reporting notifying customers of outages and exactly what is an outage here. So added is, sorry, just for, okay, we'll just say, and originating carrier shall notify its customers as well as report to the 911 system provider and the board any known outage lasting at least 30 minutes that limits or prevents 25 or more subscribers in a served geographic area within Vermont, such as a town or community, from completing calls to or communicating with 911. This is a departure from the rule language. Notification of, sorry, this next part of this. Notification of any such outage shall include, at a minimum, a posting of basic details regarding the outage on the originating carrier's website. And that was based on the conversation by the committee.
Yeah, and she texted me to say the latest version doesn't capture all types of carriers for the customer notification piece.
Okay.
I don't know what that.
Madam Chair, does that have to do with the different internet providers? Like she was saying, utility providers were less likely to actually be captured?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's three, I mean, there's landline, VoIP, and wireless providers, I think. I think those are the three big kinds. And I don't know if this applies to all three kinds or if it's just one kind.
I would have to look into that.
Okay, yeah, I know this is not your area of drafting generally.
But I can certainly make a note.
Okay,
So,
Senator Watson.
Just as a typo, I think maybe on line 11 and 12, at a minimum.
this is page 47.
Yep.
11 and 12. Originating carrier or originating.
So notification,
Oh, sorry. So,
Yeah.
sorry, my lines have
oh, okay,
shifted a little bit.
gotcha,
Notification of any such outage shall include at a minimum.
Yep.
Sure. A posting of basic details. Yep. Okay. Added that. And let me drop in a note to verify that's covering it. The next modification appears on the next page, 48. This is language assistance services for state emergency communications, section 21 in particular, which will add a new section 20 VSA, section 4, language assistance services for state emergency communications. This is where the committee opted to insert in a timely manner for all hazard events. When those occur, that language assistance services be made available for communications regarding those all hazard events, including relevant press conferences and emergency alerts, shall be done so in a timely manner. The Next, page, 49, that was one of those previous things that wasn't correctly saved. It was an or, it's been changed to an and. Next modifications will appear on page 50. This is under section 23 of regarding language assistance services for emergency communications working group in the report. Under the duties of the working group, again, these are things I didn't say in the previous version. Working group shall analyze and make recommendations on technologies for providing these services, including tools such as communication access, real-time translation of CART and picture-in-picture PIF techniques, and automated language translation services or machine translation. The chief, this is roughly about the part of the where the chief resiliency officer language was removed. And so you'll see these sections, have all been highlighted because they've gone down one number.
Sorry about that.
Let's see, the next section, we now move on to the part of the bill regarding the emergency powers of the governor. And we're on page 52. Oh, sorry. Bottom of 52. This is general powers of the governor. This is where they enumerated things to be provided in emergency situations. We have food, now as water and fuel, as well as clothing and other necessities. And that also, similar addition below in subdivision 8, also inserting water and fuel, a similar list of items like food, clothing, medicine, and other supplies for emergency situations. The next modification is on page 54, under emergency powers of governor. Again, similar name section, they are indeed different. But this is where we change the term helpers to volunteers, which will hopefully provide clarity. And the next section to be modified, section 28, bottom of 54, breaking into 55, where we have the actual edits. This is in additional emergency powers as the governor. And this gets to, let's see. And here's where there was again that question about, there's this usage of this kind of phrasing of chief executive and legislative branch, provide clarity as to who in the executive branch would, or in the legislative branch of these localities, or actually the focus of the statute would be the chair of the president. So that language is duplicated here, as well as answer the emergency management directive.
Okay.
And then newspapers and other publications has been substituted with news outlets. The next section, actually same statutory section. This is on the next page, 56. This gets to takings. And there was some kind of confusion about, or just some awkward wording that I tried to clarify here. So just reading 5, starting on line 4, to make compensation for property, the government's empowered to make compensation for property seized, taken, or condemned on the following basis. Whenever the governor deems it advisable for the state to take property for temporary use or to take property permanent, the governor shall, et cetera, et cetera. And then just re-reviewing the other uses of temporary use versus temporary taking versus a permanent one. Read through those again, and they seemed sensible. Those are
Okay.
lawyer eyes, but I haven't modified any others. So let's see. The next modification comes on page 58. This is under section 29, 20 VSA, section 13, termination of emergencies. And this is where the governor, there's a shall being switched to a may, where when a majority of the legislative body affected by natural disaster no longer wants the declaration to continue, it's the governor may declare the state of emergency terminated, not necessarily shall. The next modified language will appear on page 61. For context, this is section 32 of the bill, which will amend 20 VSA section 30, State Emergency Response Commission, its creation. We have added to that list, and this was at the request of Senator Vithovsky. The commission that's being referenced here consists of 17 members, ex officio members, including what's there, and let's see, including a representative from each of the following, and those being local government, local emergency planning committee, regional planning commission, fire service, law enforcement, new language, public works, emergency medical services and hospital. And I now realize that that may modify the overall number of members on this board, probably
Yeah.
18. So I'll go ahead and update that.
Okay. And just while we're here, Senator Norris, this is the section you wanted to discuss. And this is the State Emergency Response Commission, and it's a commission of people that that plan emergency responses, and most of the members are laid out: Commissioner of Public Safety, Secretary of Natural Resources, Secretary of Transportation, Commissioner of Health, Secretary of Ag, Commissioner of Labor, Director of Fire Safety, Director of Emergency Management. They're all on it, and those are all appointees of the governor anyway. And then the rest of the committee, which are, there are 9, I think it's now 10 public members, right? Because you added
Yes.
Public Works.
Yeah.
So that would also have to be changed. Thank you. 10 public members. Including, and that has the list, so it's just the public members that now would be divvied up between some to be appointed by the governor, and some to be appointed by the speaker, and some to be appointed by the pro tem. So it still would be a majority of members appointed by the governor. And now that we've added another one, so we're gonna have to do down here, we can say 3 members appointed by the speaker, 3 members appointed by the pro tem, and 4 members appointed by the governor. Okay, Tim?
Yep.
So there is 18 people on this. 12 are appointed by the governor and 6 by the legislature.
I guess I don't see that.
And STEM at the bottom.
I see this.
Oh, okay.
Looking for the 18 under section 32, State Emergency Response Commission.
Right, so the commission shall consist of, it now says, so on line 4.
Yep.
The commission shall, and it says 17, but we just added a member of Public Works, so now it's gonna be 18. The first members of it are the Commissioner of Public Safety, Secretary of Natural Resources, Secretary of Transportation, Commissioner of Health, all those people.
You see that?
So that creates, that's 7 people, right? Or is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? That's 7 people,
Which the bill appoints, I mean,
which the bill appoints, but those people, those positions are, the governor appoints those people. And then there are 10 other members, right? Or those are 8 of them. Okay, there are 10 other members. And those 10 members are now, as of the bill, 3 would be appointed by the speaker, 3 would be appointed by the pro tem, and now 4 would be appointed by the governor, because we just added another member. So 3, 3, and 4. So it's a 18-member board or commission, 12 of whom are appointed by the governor and 6 by the legislature. Okay, do you,
my only question was, on line 16, the 9 public member boards shall be appointed, and then it crossed out by the governor. My question was, why? Because you wanted the 3 to be appointed by the speaker and 3 to be appointed by the.
yeah, so the legislature would have the ability to appoint some people to be part of the Emergency Response Commission.
Oh, does the president pro tem do that, or does the committees do that?
Well, so the what I've been told, and this is not entirely consistent with what I've been told is that the committee on committees, they are supposed to appoint legislators to committees. And that the pro tem is the one that, unless you designate otherwise, the pro tem would appoint people to other committees. So we can do it as the pro tem, or we can do it as a committee of committees. That's up to us. Do you have
I don't say, I don't, doesn't matter to me.
doesn't
I
matter?
didn't realize that there's public members first.
Yeah, so these are public members. The other thing, Tim, I think on line 16, there's another 9 that should be changed to 10.
Yes.
So. That's. And that they would just be staggered, the replacements of them as people come off the commission. Do you have any other comments or questions on that, Bob? I know that you wanted to talk about it, so. Okay. So the next change, I don't think, are there any other changes, Tim?
Here, I would like to, just acknowledge the request of Senator Bachowski.
Yep.
Let's see, this is, section 34, we're at the bottom of page 64. Fees to the hazardous substance fund. Senator Bachowski was asking, well, she was wanted the committee to consider whether those fees should be updated or not. I believe section 39 has been let's see, amended somewhat recently in the last few years. I'm not sure if these prices were, or these amounts were actually the subject of the amendments or not. But the following section of the enforcement, which you also had a similar concern about, which has been merged into this section. Now there's that fine, which is at $1,000. She had the same inquiry, whether that should be updated or not, and that one has not been recently.
1,000. Where is that in here?
Sorry, so it should be in the new subsection F on, let's see, page 67. And this was
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
previously 20 VSA 40, which we repealed. And so it's idea that it was confusing as to what this, as a standalone section, what was it enforcing? Okay.
So what I'm
Do we
gonna,
know?
Senator Clarkson, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we have a fee schedule and all fees are reviewed every 3 years. And so I just am wondering when the last time was these fees were reviewed.
Yeah, so we don't actually do that every 3 years because
Well, we do, and it's just this governor has chosen not to do that, which is starving our state government. And in large measure, we need those fees updated. And so I'm just curious, given that situation where we have gotten off track on our fee
Right.
updating, I'm just curious when the last time this fee was updated.
Yeah, and it sounds like Tim doesn't know. So what I'm gonna suggest is that that when the bill goes to finance,
That we find
we'll
out.
suggest this to finance to look into. And then the fee or the fine, I suggest we leave it at 1,000 in large part because I don't want the bill to have to go to judiciary. And it might have to be looked at by judiciary if we change that. So, I will note the fees for the finance committee though, and they can look at those.
And I should say that section has been last modified, looks like July 1st, 2022.
But we're not sure if it was the actual
Fees,
fees
something
or
else.
something else. Okay, we will look at that. And
Then that's the last modification from the prior version. Really what's at the end of this bill has to do with the additional continuing grant, continuing local economic damage grant program.
okay,
Nothing's been modified there since discussed this.
so we're not gonna vote on the bill because we don't have Senator Mihoski and I'd rather have us all here to vote on it. We will vote it out tomorrow. Tim, I have a couple little things to chat with you about. We will be going late tomorrow and Friday. We will be going until we are done with things, so please plan accordingly. And if that means you have to be on Zoom, that's fine. But if you have appointments or anything to get to, cancel them. And make sure that you have late afternoons available. And I'll make sure Senator Bielski knows that too, because we have to get these bills out in the next 2 days. Sorry, Becca and Allison, I know that's harder for you guys, but Zoom is working, so.
Oh, I'm hoping to be there tomorrow, so.
Okay. All right, well,
Yes, I'm unsure if I will be there tomorrow, but I will be on Zoom no matter what.
Okay, that works, it totally works. And take care of your mom. And we